Good evening. We just wanted to do an honest review of SVSS Solutions. We don't intend to give opinions about their personal character or integrity, although that will show through probably in their workmanship. We will not make any disparaging remarks or belittle them with their personalities or their life choices, but we are here to show what we experienced through SVSS Solutions. And by the way, that's on Banbury Lane in Pittsburgh, PA, so that we don't confuse any other SVSS Solutions Incorporated. We signed this contract on 3/25/26 for a grand total of $23,750. And it included a kitchen renovation for $11,750 and a kitchen bump out, which we're going to take a look at on the exterior right now, for $12,000 in labor, and we paid for all parts, materials, and so forth. As of today, it has been 95 days since they began on Wednesday, April 22nd. If you take a look here, the projected timeline was approximately 3 to 4 weeks. It has now been 13 weeks and 4 days, and we were just notified by both Bob and Stefan that they might be back this upcoming Thursday, July 30th, which will mark 99 days, which will be over 14 weeks, which will be well in excess of the 3 to 4 week projected timeline. As of today, we have paid them $17,062.50 in labor. We could start with the fact that this building was supposed to be 9 by 7. It is in fact 8 by 7 foot 6 inches, so we were supposed to pay $190 a square foot. We're actually at $199.67 per square foot because we lost 3 square feet because of the failed lack of measurements when it came to providing for this. And we can show the tape measure and show that this is 8 foot long by what do we got here? 7 foot 6 inches and a quarter. I'm not sure how they even came up with that particular quantity. Let me step over here and show you some of the quality that we're seeing here. First, if you start at the top and take a look at the gutter, for some reason the gutter is at a full scale deflection in order to work. And that's important to note because we'll look at the gutter on the other side as well. This, in fact, is mostly level where the soffit comes down. Now take a look at this trim piece here at the top of the siding. I'm pushing it right up against there. Not level. If we take a look at the windows, they're okay. They're leveled out. We'll take a look at the inside a little bit closer as we go in. For some reason, they left a bunch of cement and or silicone residue all over this fresh cement pad that we had poured. You can take a look up here. We've got a pretty sizable gap here I could stick my finger through, which will make a nice home for pests, wasps, bees, and so forth. And I mention that because if you look on the other side, it's not there. So you can make your own judgments on consistency of build quality. I think this will speak for itself. We can go down here and look and verify the fact that this building is in fact 7 foot 6 inches and change. And you can see the additional staining on the cement pad. If we come over here on this side, it's even more egregious. If we look up, the gutter on this side, remember the gutter on the other side was quite angled. This one is level. Okay, then we go to the soffit. It is full scale deflection. Not even close. And to make matters worse, let's go to where the soffit is. Under here, that bubble is nowhere near the center. And if you take a step back, this is so crooked that it's difficult to understand even what happened here. not only is it crooked left to right horizontally, but it's also crooked in this plane here, where it goes down this direction. The gutter's dented, brand new gutter, dented, and then we'll transition to the inside. One thing I wanted to mention that we didn't on that first take was if we take a level, place it on the bottom of this window which they installed, it is in fact level. But let's run it over. Does it even match? And look, so I'm hard on this window. Look at the gap over here. We couldn't even line up the windows. And just to verify that that is correct, let's take it on top because this is not an anomaly. Level, good. Come over here, doesn't line up. Let's take it to the other side and see if it works over there too. Okay, so this is on the western side of the house. It's not perfectly level, but it's level. I understand things happen. You come over here, oh, and not quite the same here. And just to verify the top, we do have a little lip here that might be adjusting the level a little bit. Oops, let's flip it over. Make sure we're getting the best quality we can here. That little lip might be affecting it, which is fine. But if I lay it here, we've got some pretty good gaps here. And like I said, that can be affected by this tiny lip here, but not to the extent that these would be even close to level even after that was sanded down. That little notch is definitely raising the level. Just wanted to show that these windows aren't even installed in a symmetrical way. So let's look at the inside of SVS's work here. This is how you get into the pantry area. Let's take a look at the tile work here. Significant gaps over the course here. Look at the difference in cut here. And there was no transition strip here before, so I'm not sure whether they just expected to do one. Well, I don't know. It's not good. So just for notation, this color on the wall is called Croissant. It was $70 a gallon from Sherwin-Williams. I purchased it and delivered it. And they proceeded to paint, even though none of the drywall work was even accomplished. The trim piece will go here. They broke this off, removing the trim, and instead of patching it, well, it was priming it again, they just top coated it with $70 a gallon paint for some reason. And that is not an anomaly because they did it up here. Why would you put top coat over something that clearly needs repaired? And look at that one too. I don't understand. Anyway, back to the floor. Lots of grout issues. I mean, you can see here clearly a lot of lippage. Grout is flush here, caked up here, and we've got some valleys over here. And that is, unfortunately, the norm for all over here. And I'm not going to spend the 20 minutes it takes to go over each one, but this is super high right here. And you could tell if I get a straight edge and I run it, you could see the lip. You could hear it coming up, and just to show you equivalent, because this one doesn't have a lip, there's no noise going over that one. But over this one, can't even get it over because of the size of the lip here. And it's similar all over the tile work. So we can go over here and see that there's same lippage on just about, a dozen or so different joints. That one's high. Just work that's clearly not professional. Deep valleys over here in the grout, and then coming up to flush here. Same with here. So we've got flush to valleys. Look at this one here, particularly egregious. Valley over here, completely flush to now where this tile is actually beneath this tile. Again, that's pretty much everywhere. We take a look here. That's their corner work. And then the jolly strip which is supposed to provide the finished product, to this bump out, which was tiled. Look at this here. Look at the gap here. The caked up stuff here might be able to get cleaned up. But look at the tile gap. It comes down to 0 with a lip. And then it comes back over here, basically to nothing, completely flush here. And then back to open over here. This is flush with the drywall here. I could put my finger over here like this, and I've got almost a full, more than a 1/4 inch over here. So very crooked, very sloppy work indeed. Let's take a look at the bump out. Oh boy, where do we start? I will break out a light and do it at night to show you all the drywall inconsistencies. But let's just take a look at the build, general build quality here. Let's look at that seam that no one put a 45 tape on. And let's just hold our level up hard against that seam. That's supposed to be level. That's the seam from the ceiling to the vertical wall. Full scale deflection. How about the other side? Hey, that one's close to level. Just showing some of the inconsistencies this corner. Obviously, I mean, you could see it bowed out here. Very poorly done. Look at the gap between the level and the wall. And the level is level. So that's supposed to be flush against the wall. And instead, we've got a significant gap in there. Bowed walls. And that's with it level. But unfortunately, it only gets worse. Look at the ceiling that they did here. Looks pretty good. We got it level. Let's take the same level. Now we're going to back it up here. We're going to slide the level all the way over to here. And what do we think? It's surely going to be level, right? Right. Right. Look at that. Full scale almost. Deflection. Now it's coming back. Look at the gap between the level and the drywall. I mean, it's inexplicable. I don't know. That right there is full scale. That's the ceiling. Look at the bow in the ceiling. And I've got a full scale deflection level, holding it hard against there. I don't understand. Beyond that, nothing is really level here. If we look at these drywalled things we got here, I'm just going to let that there. Is that level? Nope, full scale deflection off. How about this one? Full scale deflection off. Not just resting on there. No tricks here, just incredibly poor workmanship. So let's take a look at this. We're going to take a tape measure and we're going to just look at these windows they put in. We know that they're not level top to bottom. But let's look here. From the wall, I've got, let's call it 10, and we'll give them the benefit of the doubt, and 1/8. That's where the drywall ends, and I realize that the 2x is a little bit inside there, so we'll give them some wiggle room. 10 and 1/8. Certainly this is going to be 10 and 1/8, right? Nope. How about 10 and 3/4? So that's off. How about the gap between the windows? Certainly that's got to be good, right? So let's find a good spot. Put our tape on. This side, whoop, pardon me. This side we got 10 and 1/2 to the drywall. Let's go to the other window. Certainly this is going to be 10 and 1/2, right? Nope. 11 and 1/4. So over and over, the poor build quality is just, I mean, it's astounding. I don't know. Hopefully I showed you just some of the things just by myself here and with my wife with the camera, what you can expect with SVSS Solutions. There's your contractor. Okay, we're going to go through this in the evening, and the light will make it easier to see just how poorly this was done. We'll start over here in the corner. The trim will only cover barely a little bit of this, but as you can see here, look at that. This was never even sanded. Never. That was mudded on and never sanded. So we have that, all that up there. Obviously paint on the ceiling can be touched up. This was never sanded. There's the line from the knife all the way across from mud. And it's already top coated with $70 a gallon top coat. Large dent here, not fixed. Marks here that won't be covered by trim. Mark, 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 mark. Large pile of spackle. Top corner same. Paint didn't even cover through here, although they said there were 2 coats on here. Mark, mark. Marks here, here, here. Here. Corner. Here. Look at these down here. Mark. 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 All down here. Trim might cover that, but look at these. Lots of dimples. Lots and lots of dimples. Here, look at this. Look at the bump out right here that leaves a shadow. Can you see that on the camera? Mm-hmm. All right, we're gonna move up here. Another dimple dent. Another dimple dent. More dimples and dents. Let's flip the camera here, see if we can get a little better. Pock mark there. Dents. This whole line of corner. There's a line here that goes all the way up the corner. All the way up. There's a dent here. Pock marks here. Pock marks here. Am I going too fast?
The light's moving so fast, I can't focus that quickly.
Should I go slower? Pock mark here. Look at the finish work here. Giant dent. Pock marks because no one sanded. Boy, if you can't see that, look at the gaps and valleys here all the way across. Look at that corner. This is the finish work that SVSS Solutions thinks is done. Because this is top coated. Just take a look at that. No one even sanded it. Same pock marks everywhere here. Here, look at those. And that's not a run or a drip. Those are drywall imperfections because no one sanded. And again down here and here. Let's move into this other area over here. I don't know if you can see this. Look at the ledge here on the drywall. The corners, because that doesn't get trimmed. Look at the corner on that. And the corner here. And we're only discussing drywall here. And it's bad everywhere. Let's move into all of their drywall work here in the dining area. We'll start in this corner. It's not good anywhere. I don't know if you can see that. Look at the corner all the way up. All the way, and at the top, it looks like a mountain range of mud. Look at the mud in the peak, still dripping down. As we come down here, this corner is a disaster. See that? And they're just smeared. Why? Because they didn't use 45 no-float tape, which would have sealed this junction right here appropriately. So now we have that. The camera surely will pick up all of this stuff. Look at these deep lines, cuts. Just smear it with your finger. paint over it, pretend it's good, and collect your paycheck. Look at these smears. All the way down here. Smeared with your finger. That's as finished as it gets with this crew of laborers. Just smeared. Cuts after cut. Valleys, grooves. Look at that way. Look how good that looks. That's finished and painted according to SVSS. And the other way is even worse. Look at that. And this is what Stefan says is only going to need a little bit of touch-up. That was the text messages I got today. We'll touch up the paint. One after another. Same thing with that seam all the way up. Really ugly. How about this right here? Easy to spot the disgusting job we did here. Look at the marks. No one's even sanded. No one even cared to sand. Mark, mark, wave, wave, lip. Look at this. Never sanded the mud at all. Same here. All the way across. Pile of mud. Same awful corner here. Look at the seam going all the way up. Let's see if I can change the lighting here. I don't know if you can see. Look at all the cuts. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. A half a dozen cuts going up there. With a pile of mud in the corner there, all the way up. And then the top one is bad too. We'll go to this side. That's not terrible, but now we've got a seam here. It's easily visible. We've got a seam here that's easily visible. We've got, again, all this smeared with the finger. Certainly you could see all that with a camera, yeah? Mm-hmm. Just really, really bad. Like, almost laughably bad. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 dents. And then again, this corner here, I mean, this is less than amateur work. All the way up the ceiling. Look at the dents and caves all the way. Now we've just done the ceiling. Now the walls. Let's take a look at this corner here. Look at this finish work. Now trim will be here. But what is all this? What is that finish work? Look at that. Giant chunks of mud. Unsanded, unfinished. Same with this wall. This, I don't know if you can see it. Oh yeah, look at the shadow. Look at that. Look at that finish work Stefan and Bob produce. All the way up. You could video from the top to the bottom. That is what they consider finished. Tape sticking out here with the trim make cover. 3 more deficiencies there. Let's take a look going down. Does it get any better? No, it only gets worse. All the way down. Oh, look at this. This is top coated as if they thought it was finished. They only think that this needs touched up with paint. Again, all the way across the bottom, screw hole here. Oh, look at all the imperfections. We could be here all day. They're innumerable. Look at this work. Let's go back to this corner and see if it's any better. Nope. Look at the shadows that it creates. Smeared with a finger, mark, 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 mark. This has never been sanded mud. Pox marks here. Come up here, same thing, all the way up. Look at this seam. Screw. Pile of mud here, never sanded. 2 divots, screws. That'll be covered by trim. This will hopefully be covered by trim. But it's the same thing over and over and over. There's a long seam right there. Easy to spot. Look at the imperfections here. Screw hole. Look at the transition here. That's easy to see. And it's not done there. And it continues over here, this top coated wall. Issue here. Marks, 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 marks. I ran out of tape. There's so many issues with this wall. It gets a little better through here because this is what the original builder did. These are all the pock marks that were not taken care of. We didn't even go over the ceiling over there. There's plenty more areas of tape. Look. Over and over, all the way up. There's another good one. And that whole top area is just as bad. Marks all over. That's a big one there. Look, this mud right here was never sanded. So that's a level of laziness that I can't even comprehend. You could see the exact mark where he spread the mud with a knife and never once sanded it. Bunch of marks here, 5 or 6 here, same all the way up the corner. This was only painted with one coat of top coat. Look, all the marks here. I don't know if the camera can catch that. That's pretty easy to see. All the marks here. Giant swaths of marks. Look at this. Again, fresh mud smeared on with a trowel or a knife. Never once sanded. It doesn't get any better over here. Trim will cover some of this, but look at this. Boy, you don't even need a shadow to see some of these inconsistencies. All the way over. Trim won't cover all the way up there. And over here, they used a pry bar to get rid of the trim, which happens. They dented it, but instead of fixing it, they painted over it with top coat. Not once. 2, 3 times. And it doesn't get any better anywhere else. So even down here, you can see that they didn't fix any of the drywall. The trim is certainly not going to cover that dent. So instead of fixing the drywall like you would with primer as a base, sanding it and then priming again, they decided to roll top coat over top of everything. And again, this wall is the same level of expert, top level craftsmanship. And that's their words, not mine. That's it. Just wanted to add an additionally, a set of egregious errors from people that call themselves experts and top-notch professional work here. The tile here we'll call 7/8 over there. Now let's trace it all along this wall here that they put in the bump out. You think this would be 7/8 too, right? What? Nope. 2.5? Why? Well, because the room isn't even square. Basic building techniques were ignored altogether. Because we can hold a square up here, put it on one wall, and we see a little bowing on this wall. But look at the gap as it goes down the wall. The building isn't even square. Appallingly bad. So as of today, or as of July 23rd, today's the 24th, 25th. We still needed to reprime all the top coats that they put down, repair all the drywall, skim coat, sand. We already did the prime again. 2 coats of top coat on that. Trim carpentry. Who would trust them to do trim carpentry on $1,000 worth of pre-stained trim after seeing the workmanship that I've shown you in this video? It's 4 doors, 5 windows, and baseboards. Electrical hookups. Fixture install, plumbing hookups, drain basket install with a drain hookup, drawer cabinet hardware install, pantry door install, missing puck light, outlet switch spacers and covers, floor repair, cabinet toe kick install, under cabinet lighting, and cut and install the ceiling box for the pendant light.